Hello there!
Welcome back to another video! Today we're looking at episode 3 of my 7 Days of Huevember Bleach Edition series, and we're looking at the color blue. So I hinted in the first episode, and I really dove into it in the second episode, that some of these were pretty straightforward and I had a good idea for. Others gave me a lot of trouble, and we are looking at the peak troublemaker here, and honestly I'm gonna try to leave it up to interpretation, but it shouldn't take too long to clue in who this is considering we're looking at blue. But it's very much in character for this character to give me so much trouble, honestly. I think I counted 8 starts and stops, and here's the thing though, I had such a clear idea in my mind of what I wanted this to look like. I did the little thumbnail sketches, this one came pretty close, but I knew exactly, and here I'm keeping this stuff in because I wanted to really show you guys the journey, and there was a part of this journey that's not recorded, but I don't know, I might slip it in post anyway, but I just knew so clearly what I wanted this to look like, and I was just having such a hard time pulling this off. So the app that I'm using is called Model, I think, or Pose Finder, something. Wait, I have my iPad right in front of me, I should just check. It's called Magic Poser. So this app is called Magic Poser, and it did not magically pose my thing. And then anyway, I took a break after 8 attempts and spending half an hour on Magic Poser, and honestly, I feel like even after, this was the most footage, and this is again, keeping the pause in for transparency's sake. This was me just being on Pinterest trying to find the thing that I wanted to find, because I had it so clear in my head, but I wasn't able to execute. And then I tried something else, and at this point I feel it's kind of super obvious who this is, but anyway, I was just having such a hard time with this, and I took a break after the 8 failed attempts, and then I went to sketch on my iPad, and I puzzled it all out digitally, and then I just, used that as a here I was just trying a completely different concept because I was also what I was feeling. But I ended up just, finding it on puzzling it out where I could flip the canvas and transform and zoom out, and then I could transform it up or whatever. But yeah, eventually I got somewhat closer to what I wanted, but holy crap, was this a struggle. I don't think I've had a piece, actually that's a lie, I did have a piece where I had more than this in terms of thumbnail sketches at the beginning of the year, but goodness gracious, Grimmjow, you gave me a headache. And again, it's such a Grimmjow thing to do, right? It's 100% in his character for him to give me this much of a headache, and I just had this, and I even had I was trying to model it after kind of Bakugo when he's charging into I don't know, I was very much thinking of My Hero Academia because that season, so I'm not currently watching it because I read the manga, but anyway, Grimmjow is our character for blue, and I wanted a very actiony pose of him charging at someone with his back to us, but also his face, but also him any moment. I still feel traumatized. I drew this 2 weeks ago from when I'm recording this audio, but I still feel traumatized by it. Oh goodness. But I love Grimmjow. Grimmjow, I would say, is my favorite Bleach character. I know that's not very original, but I really do love this character. He's super honor bound and predictable, and he's very much a kind of a doing character. He's not a reactive character. He pushes the plot forward, which I really like in characters. Ichigo is more of a reactive protagonist, so that's why I really like the rivalry between Grimmjow and Ichigo, because they kind of play off each other a lot. And even though the Arrancar arc can kind of drag on, I'm always happy when Grimmjow's on screen, and it's just a good old time. And even so, after Grimmjow gave me such a headache, the following weekend to when I drew this was when Pokemon came out, and while my brother and I were playing the new Pokemon games, we put original Bleach on in the background, the dub for it, and throughout the weekend we skipped the Bound arc, but we got to episode 120 something, so we got to see the fights with Grimmjow towards the end of the weekend, which was really satisfying. I hadn't actually watched that in a really long time, but yeah, it was really cool to get to, after I had my own battle with Grimmjow, as you can clearly see it here, it was really cool to watch the battle that Grimmjow had in the anime. So yeah, overall, this is 100% the piece in this series that gave me the most trouble. It is also one of the pieces I'm happiest with, my brother's favorite, I think. I think it does have the most momentum, and it does have kind of this balance of me. This is the I would say second most ambitious one. I think the most ambitious one overall was the Byakuya one, but yeah, no, I'm happy with this. I'm glad I stuck it out. I'm glad I didn't just like take the easy way out and like, I don't know, just try to simplify it. And the thing is that I drew Grimjow not that long ago as well, so it's not as if I didn't have his design fresh in my mind. It's just I had this picture of him in my head, of him doing this like very like aggressive charge and stuff, and I really wanted to execute it, and I wanted it to look great, but it's such an awkward pose. And I still think, to be honest, I still think that like the transition from like the back of his head to his neck to like where his shoulders come in, I still think that looks a bit kind of awkward, but it's the angle, man. We don't look at people from that angle that often, and it's kind of like with the, you know, anime proportions and all the stylizations and stuff. But yeah, I don't know, I really I'm glad I stuck through it, but I think I won't. I mean, I was mentioning this for the 2 weeks following, like when I was trying to talk to people. It's like, oh yeah, no, I was drawing, I'm doing this thing, but listen, Grimjow, he's not a good guy. And my friend was making so much fun of me because, you know, I was commenting how it's so in character for him to be acting this way, and she's like, oh my gosh, stop acting as if these characters are real people. I'm like, but they could be. Anyway, yeah. How would you have drawn Grimjow if you were me doing this challenge? I want to see if you guys, if you liked any of my earlier sketches, if you feel like I should have gone with the middle finger one or what. But yeah, I don't know. And this is also the first one where, you know, in last episode, I did a combination of the color pencil and the marker and stuff like that. And this one, I didn't use color pencils, but I used, I think, 3 different markers, 3 different blues. So this is kind of me trying to add more dimension and stuff like that, keeping it within blue. I wasn't too sure if the indigo was indigo and the blue was blue, if the blue was just like a sky lighter blue, or if like navy blue counted as well, or what, but I don't know. I do like the fact that I had a couple blues to play with, so I didn't have just the hatching and the like block shading to play with in terms of adding shadows. But yeah, overall I think that this one was definitely the biggest struggle and the biggest accomplishment, and I feel like it's only fitting, both considering that Grimjow is my favorite character in Bleach and considering the fact that he is such a pain in the neck. Literally at this point, because my neck was quite sore after all the hunching and erasing and struggling and fighting, and goodness gracious, I know we're like over halfway through the video now, but I'm still just having kind of like flashbacks of the number of times I erased and the number of times I had to stand up to pace and like be screaming with some like hardcore music to try to just get the feelings out. You know, you have to cope here, you have to cope. But yeah, overall, I was very much like loving because at this point I had the double page spread of the last 2 and then the title page, and now I'm very feeling this challenge. I'm really glad that I took it on, and as much as I love flipping through like past Inktober's through my sketchbooks, this is very satisfying because it's just like the rainbow over the page flips, but also with characters that I love, and it's just also really cool. I don't know. I very much appreciate it. And then lastly for this one, I am adding a bit of a background. Quite simple. I'm just trying to reinforce the action line through having the block shading and kind of also bringing all of the attention I possibly can to his face, because that's honestly the coolest part of Grimjow is his hair and his like half mask thing. So yeah, overall good times. And yeah, I don't know, let me know what you think so far of this challenge. Do you like my interpretation of Huevember? Do you think it's a good challenge, even though again I didn't really do it across 7 days? I did it over the course of the month in a couple sittings. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've said everything I had to say about this piece, because the biggest headache of it was the first part, honestly. And I got through it, and I did come back and do a little bit of tweaks after I added the background to make sure that see here me coloring in the glove to make sure that the contrast was where it should be, to make sure that everything is clear, thickening up some lines and making sure stuff was balanced overall. It was interesting because like I feel like I got a really good grasp of trying to capture contrast with a limited sort of color palette through all the times I did Inktober, but when you're doing it without black, when you're doing it with different colors, it kind of translates differently. Even though your eyes adjust, you know, you can't escape the fact that blue is a lighter color, so if you want more contrast you do need to like push it with thicker lines. I feel like I wouldn't have needed to resort to as thick of a lines as I had through Huevember in Inktober, just because the black itself is contrasty enough. But with it not being black, we have to integrate those thicker lines. But overall, here's Grimjow, the butt. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next episode.